How do you move a stone that weighs more than a jumbo jet? Not roll it, not drag it on logs. Move it precisely. Fit it against another stone so perfectly that not even a razor blade can slide between them. The Inca did this thousands of times, and nobody alive today fully understands how. Sacsayhuaman sits above the ancient Inca capital of Cusco, Peru, at around 3,700 meters above sea level. The site was likely begun under the Inca ruler Pachacuti in the mid-15th century. Construction continued for roughly 70 years. At its peak, an estimated 20,000 workers labored here simultaneously. What they built defies easy explanation. The outer walls run in 3 massive zigzag tiers. Each tier is constructed from limestone and diorite boulders, some standing over 8 meters tall. The largest documented stone weighs an estimated 125 metric tons. These weren't quarried nearby. Limestone came from quarries in the Cusco region, while other stone types, including diorite, were hauled from as far as 35 kilometers away, across mountain terrain, across rivers, over mountain terrain. Without wheels, without iron tools, without draft animals capable of handling that kind of load. And yet, here they sit, immovable and immaculate. Here is the first moment that genuinely unsettles researchers. The stones don't just touch, they interlock. Each block was shaped to fit its neighbors with angles that aren't uniform, with faces that tilt inward at subtle degrees. This technique, called ashlar construction, at its most precise, locks the wall together without mortar. Earthquakes that have leveled colonial Spanish buildings constructed on top of the site left the Inca stonework underneath completely undisturbed. The Spanish walls fell. The Inca walls didn't move. Early Spanish chroniclers who arrived in the 16th century were openly baffled. The soldier and writer Pedro de Chiesa de León described the walls and admitted, in his own words, that he could not understand how such stones had been transported or set in place. He wasn't alone. Later, the Jesuit priest José de Acosta wrote with open admiration about the scale and precision of what the Inca had built. This was a civilization with access to vast resources and engineering expertise, and even they couldn't explain it. So, what do we actually know about the construction method? Researchers and experimental archaeologists have established that the Inca used ramps, levers, log rollers, ropes woven from plant fiber, and enormous human labor organized with military precision. Ethno-historical records describe teams called mita laborers, a form of obligatory state service who were fed, clothed, and housed by the state in exchange for their work. Recent studies of labor organizations suggest the Inca were extraordinarily efficient coordinators of human effort at scale. That explains much of the transportation. It doesn't fully explain the fitting. The polygonal joinery, those irregular, multi-angled faces locked together without gaps, required a process of trial, adjustment, and grinding that modern stone analysts are still studying. One leading theory involves a technique called scribing, where a stone is repeatedly lowered onto its neighbor, marked where it makes contact, then lifted and chipped away at those contact points. Repeated hundreds of times per block, the evidence remains inconclusive, yet it suggests a patience and precision in labor organization that would challenge modern construction teams given equivalent tools. This is the second unsettling realization. The Inca had no written language in the conventional sense. No architectural blueprints have survived. None are believed to have existed in a written form. The coordination of 20,000 workers, the logistics of moving 1, 2, 5-ton stones, the precise fitting of thousands of irregular polygonal blocks. All of it was organized and executed through oral tradition. Quipu record-keeping knotted cord systems and the accumulated knowledge of specialist stonecutters. The scale of what was held entirely in human memory is staggering. The function of Sacsayhuaman itself is debated. Spanish accounts called it a fortress, and the word has stuck. But Inca scholar Brian Bauer and others have argued the site's primary role was ceremonial. The open esplanade at the center of the complex was large enough to hold tens of thousands of people. Inti Raymi, the Festival of the Sun, was held here. The three-tiered walls may have represented the teeth of a puma, as Cusco itself was reputedly designed in the shape of that animal from above. Military function and religious function were deeply intertwined in Inca statecraft, so the distinction may be less meaningful than it first appears. Much of the site was deliberately demolished after the Spanish conquest. Colonial records show that stones from Sacsayhuaman were used to build the cathedral in Cusco's main plaza and other colonial structures throughout the city. What stands today is estimated to be roughly 20% of the original complex. The towers, the interior chambers, much of the upper structure gone. What was dismantled in decades took generations to build. And here is the third realization, the one that lingers. What we see now, reduced as it is, already exceeds our comfortable explanations. The full site, in its original form, with its towers and its ceremonial spaces and its complete outer walls, would have been categorically more astonishing than what survives today. We are looking at a ruin of a ruin, and the ruin alone is among the most precisely engineered structures ever built by human hands. The Inca Empire lasted fewer than 100 years at its height before Spanish arrival ended it. In that window, they built a road network stretching over 40,000 kilometers, terrace-farmed the Andes, and left stones at Sacsayhuaman that have survived intact through 5 centuries of earthquakes. The techniques that made those joints so perfect died with the civilization that created them. No blueprint, no manual, no unbroken lineage of craftspeople carrying the knowledge forward, just the stones themselves, silent and seamless, waiting for someone to finally work out how they got there. What do you think was lost when that knowledge disappeared? And is there any chance it could ever be recovered? Leave your theory below.